I walked into my cousin Josh's apartment to grab my fishing gear, and there she was, my wife, Megan, wearing his shirt, sitting on his couch like she lived there now. For a second, I thought maybe my brain was short-circuiting. Like, maybe I'd walked into the wrong place or stumbled into some kind of nightmare I'd wake up from. But no, it was real. The shirt she had on? I gave it to Josh 2 Christmases ago. She didn't flinch. Didn't pull the blanket over herself or make any excuse. Just looked me dead in the eye and said, "You should have knocked." My mouth opened but nothing came out. My brain was still trying to process what I was seeing. I'd known Megan since high school, been married for almost 6 years. And now she was sitting here like this was normal? Then Josh came strolling out of the bedroom, smirking, towel slung around his neck like this was some sitcom and I was the punchline. "Sup," he said casually, like we were just bumping into each other at the grocery store. My legs felt like they didn't belong to me. I was frozen in the doorway holding my tackle box like an idiot. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. This couldn't be happening. Megan stood up and crossed her arms like she was the one who'd been wronged. This was going to happen sooner or later. We're together now. Together. Like the past 6 years were just a warm-up for this betrayal. "You're my wife," I finally managed to say. "He's my cousin." Josh shrugged. "It is what it is, man." That line, so casual, so smug, I'll never forget it. It hit harder than any fist ever could. Like I was just some disposable extra in their love story. I turned to Megan again, searching for anything, guilt, regret, fear, but there was nothing. Just a cold, distant look like she'd already moved on and I was standing in the way. I walked backward out of the apartment without saying another word. I couldn't trust my voice anymore. I felt like throwing up, like falling down, like yelling until my throat gave out. But instead, I just drove away, fishing gear still in hand, heart shattered in the passenger seat. I thought that was rock bottom. But I was wrong. Because when I reached out to Megan's family, her mom, her sister, people I thought might at least try to help me make sense of this, they didn't just side with her. They acted like I was the villain. Like I'd done something to deserve this. Lisa, her sister, texted me 2 days later, "You should let them be happy." And that's when I realized this wasn't just a betrayal by Megan and Josh. It was all of them. They'd already decided I didn't matter. And that was the part that really broke me. About a month before everything blew up, things between Megan and me started to feel off. At first, I thought I was just imagining it. We all hit weird patches, right? You go through a busy spell, life gets a little routine. But this was different. It started small. She was always on her phone, like, always. And not just mindless scrolling. She'd be smiling at her screen 1 second, then quickly locking it when I walked into the room. I caught her taking calls in the bathroom more than once, whispering like it was some secret mission. "Just work stuff," she said when I asked. "Work?" She did bookkeeping for a dental office. Who the hell needs whisper-level secrecy for cavity filings? Then came the excuses. "I don't feel like going to the barbecue this weekend," she'd say, even though we'd always loved those cookouts at my aunt's house. "Fishing's boring," she told me one morning as I packed up for a trip with my buddies. Boring. She used to beg me to take her on those weekend getaways. I started noticing how she'd dress up, tight jeans, full makeup, perfume so strong it filled the whole car, just to run errands. One afternoon I walked in just as she was spraying hairspray in the mirror, checking herself from every angle like she was going to prom. I asked where she was headed and she said, "Target." "Just Target? You need to look like that to buy paper towels?" I joked. She didn't laugh. Then there was Lisa, her sister. We were at Megan's mom's house one Saturday and Lisa nudged Megan during dinner, grinning. "Josh is looking good lately," she said loud enough for the whole table to hear. Megan blushed. Like, actually blushed. Then she laughed it off and changed the subject fast, asking her mom about a casserole recipe or something dumb. I just sat there, frozen with a fork halfway to my mouth, pretending I hadn't seen that little exchange. But I had. My gut started twisting in knots the next week when Megan told me she was heading over to Josh's apartment to help him move some furniture. I didn't think much of it at the time. Josh and I were close, we used to hang out all the time, shoot pool, grill steaks. It made sense, kind of. But when she did it again 3 days later, same excuse, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I brought it up to her casually one night. "You've been spending a lot of time over there lately." She barely looked up from her phone. "He needed help. Twice in 1 week?" She rolled her eyes. "God, it's not that deep." I let it go. Sort of. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. I started keeping a mental list, how many nights she came home late, how many times she said she was tired, how often she forgot to text me back when I asked what she was up to. One night, after she went to bed, I called her mom. Diane always liked me. I figured maybe she could talk some sense into Megan or at least give me a clue about what the hell was going on. I don't know, I said. She's just been different lately. Like distant. Sneaky. Diane sighed. You're being paranoid, honey. I'm not trying to accuse her of anything. Something feels off. Diane chuckled like I'd just asked her to believe in Bigfoot. Look, Megan's grown. You're not always going to be the center of her world. That one stung, but I said okay and hung up. That night, I laid in bed next to Megan, staring at the ceiling while she scrolled through her phone, screen glowing like a spotlight on her secrets. I couldn't prove anything. Not yet. But my gut was screaming. If no one else was going to believe me, I figured I had to start digging myself. The final tip-off came one Friday night after a couple beers at Josh's place. I was watching the game with him and his roommate, Kevin. I made some dumb joke about how Megan hated football now even though she used to yell louder than anyone at the screen. Kevin snorted into his drink and said, "She's over here more than I am." I froze. What? I asked, trying to sound casual. He blinked, clearly not realizing what he just said. I mean, she and Josh hang out a lot lately, right? Josh shot him a look that said shut the hell up, but it was too late. That's when it all clicked. Every late night. Every excuse. Every sudden dislike of things she used to love. My gut hadn't been wrong. I wasn't crazy. I was just the last one to know. After Josh's roommate let it slip that Megan was over at Josh's place a lot, I didn't sleep that night. I laid there, staring at the ceiling fan spinning like it might fling off the wall and slice my chest open. My thoughts kept looping, every weird moment, every excuse, every time I told myself I was overthinking. I wasn't. By morning, something in me snapped. I stopped hoping it wasn't true and started preparing to face the truth. I spent that whole week collecting pieces. Screenshots. Times. Dates. I remembered a night she said she was helping Lisa shop for a baby shower, but Josh posted a selfie from his living room and I could see Megan's purse sitting on the end table. Another day, Megan said she had a late meeting and I found a charge on our shared card for takeout near Josh's apartment. By Friday, I had a small pile of evidence and a heart that felt like it had been wrung out and hung up to dry. I waited until she got home from work, still wearing that fake polite smile she'd been using around me lately. "Hey," she said, walking into the kitchen. "Want takeout or should I cook?" I pulled out my phone and slid it across the counter toward her. She picked it up, saw the folder I had open, texts, photos, timestamps, and just stared for a second. Her face didn't even twitch. No shock. No guilt. "So what?" she said. That was it. So what? I felt my blood rush to my head. My ears rang. I had no words at first. Just this burning behind my eyes like I might actually explode. "You're cheating on me," I finally said, voice trembling. "With my cousin." She shrugged, looking right at me. "I love him." Like that made it okay. I slammed my hand on the counter, not hard, just enough to make her flinch. "How long, Megan?" She exhaled like I was inconveniencing her. "A few months." I couldn't believe it. She said it like she was giving me the weather report. No emotion. No regret. Nothing. I felt tears sting my eyes, not because I was sad, because I was furious. "We were still sleeping together," I said. "You were coming home to me." "We were over long before this," she replied. "We just didn't say it out loud." I choked on a bitter laugh. "You said I love you last week." She shook her head. "I didn't mean it. That was the part that broke me." She walked past me, grabbed a gym bag from the hallway closet, and started tossing in clothes. No hesitation. No begging. Just done. "Where are you going?" I asked, stunned. "To Josh's," she said simply, zipping the bag. She walked to the door, stopped, and turned. "I hope someday you understand why this had to happen." And then she left. I stood there in the silence of our kitchen with the fridge humming and my heart cracked wide open. I still didn't want to believe it. So I called the one person I thought might knock some sense into her. Her mom, Diane. She picked up after one ring. "Hey, sweetie, everything okay?" "No," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "Megan's having an affair with Josh." Diane didn't pause. Didn't gasp. Didn't even sound surprised. "Oh, grow up," she snapped. "They're happy now. You should just let them be." "What?" "You and Megan were drifting for a while. Everyone could see it. Maybe this is for the best." I actually pulled the phone away from my ear to look at it like maybe I'd misdialed and called someone else. "You're siding with her?" I asked. "I'm not siding with anyone," she said, voice sharp now. "I'm accepting reality. You should try it." Then she hung up. I stood there for a long time, holding the phone like it might offer me a do-over if I just stared long enough. Later that weekend, I got the final gut punch. An Easter dinner invite went out in Megan's family group chat. Everyone was included: Megan, Josh, Lisa, Diane. Everyone except me. Lisa texted me separately. Hey, just a heads up, Megan and Josh are coming to Easter. It'd probably be better if you didn't. No apology. No, how are you holding up? Just letting me know I wasn't welcome anymore. When I didn't respond, she added, at least Josh treats her better than you ever did. I stared at that message so long my screen dimmed and locked. And that's when it hit me. Not only had I lost my wife to my cousin, I'd lost her whole family too. I was the villain in their story now. And they didn't even care how much it cost me to play that role. Easter morning came, and for the first time in 8 years, I wasn't getting dressed to head over to Diane's place. No smoked ham, no deviled eggs, no awkward small talk with her brother about fishing spots we'd never actually visit. Just me, alone in my apartment, sitting on the edge of the bed staring at the text Diane had sent the night before. Please don't come. Megan and Josh will be here. No, sorry. No explanation. Just, don't come. It hit me harder than I expected. Megan cheating with Josh? That was like a house fire. Sudden. Explosive. But this? This was like realizing the fire department was just standing on the curb, watching it burn, passing around marshmallows. I'd been going to that Easter dinner since before Megan and I got married. Diane used to call me son. She gave me Megan's dad's old pocket knife for Christmas one year. And now I was uninvited like a toxic ex. My phone buzzed again around noon. Lisa. At least Josh treats her better than you ever did. I stared at it, jaw clenched so hard my molars hurt. I wanted to respond with a paragraph full of all the things I should have said about loyalty, about betrayal, about how real love doesn't start in someone else's bedroom, but instead, I kept it short. Thanks for showing your true colors. Then I blocked her. I went through my contacts one by one. Blocked Megan. Blocked Diane. Even unfollowed a couple of Megan's cousins I never talked to but who had suddenly found the time to post smiling photos with #blessed and #Easter family vibes featuring Josh and Megan like they were America's sweethearts. Deleted my social media next. All of it. Then I got in the car and just drove. Didn't matter where. I ended up outside town at a diner we used to stop at after fishing trips. Sat in the back, drank black coffee, stared out the window and let the numbness settle in. That was my whole day. Quiet. Isolated. Not one person checked in. I used to think family was supposed to be the net that caught you when you fell. But mine had stood there and watched me hit the ground, then told me I landed wrong. Over the next few weeks, I kept my distance. Put in overtime at work. Said yes to every shift I could get. Started hitting the gym again, not because I wanted to look good, but because it gave me something to focus on that wasn't them. I was done being the quiet guy. The peacemaker. The one who swallowed everything for the sake of family harmony. Screw that. I filed for divorce. Sent the papers to Megan's new address, Josh's apartment, obviously. She didn't contest. Didn't call. Didn't even ask to talk. She signed and mailed them back like it was a utility bill. And just like that, it was over. 6 years of marriage reduced to a FedEx envelope and a rubber stamp from the county clerk. I started therapy. Not because I was falling apart, but because I wanted to make sure I never let anyone walk all over me like that again. Told my story to a woman named Rachel who didn't flinch, didn't interrupt, just nodded like she'd heard 100 versions of it before. You're grieving a life you thought you had, she said. I nodded. Yeah. And grieving people who aren't dead. That summer, I repainted the apartment. Got rid of anything Megan had picked out: curtains, throw pillows, all that Target and Pinterest junk she used to obsess over. Traded the couch. Sold the dining set. Got a cheap wood table from a buddy at work, and for the first time, it felt like my place. 5 months went by. Total silence. And just when I thought I might finally be free, when I was sleeping through the night again and actually starting to look forward to weekends, I got a surprise at work. I was in the back of the shop, elbow deep in an old Chevy, when one of the guys called out, "Hey, someone's here asking for you." I wiped my hands and walked out. And there she was. Diane. Standing by the front desk in a cardigan and oversized sunglasses, holding her purse like it was a life raft. Her eyes were puffy. She'd been crying. "I need to talk to you," she said, voice shaking. I didn't move. "Megan made a mistake," she continued, almost choking on the words. "Josh, he's not who she thought he was. She wants to talk to you." I just stood there stunned. I hadn't seen this woman in months. She'd cut me off without hesitation. And now here she was, playing the sorrowful mother-in-law card. "Please," she said. "Just hear her out." It took everything in me not to laugh in her face. Megan hadn't just betrayed me, she humiliated me. Diane hadn't just looked the other way, she'd locked the door behind me. And now they wanted a conversation? I didn't say a word. Just turned around and walked back into the shop. Let them twist in the wind. Because I was finally building something they could never break again. A life without them. I didn't hear from Diane again for a couple of weeks after she showed up at the shop crying. Honestly, I thought maybe that was it. Maybe she'd realized I wasn't the same guy who used to drop everything to keep the peace. But then the rest of them came crawling out from under their rocks. First, it was Lisa. Of course. Voicemails like nothing had happened. Hey, just checking in. Miss you around here. We should catch up soon. Like she hadn't called me bitter and blamed me for Megan's affair. Like Easter never happened. Then came the email from Megan. It was long, 4 paragraphs at least. She used words like confused, hurting, not thinking clearly at the time. She wrote things like, I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. Josh wasn't who I thought he was. I'd really like to talk if you're open to it. I closed the email halfway through and deleted it. Didn't even bother reading the last sentence. If she wanted closure, she could find it in her reflection. Because here's what really happened. Turns out Josh got fired from his job at the warehouse. Got caught showing up late and stinking like beer one too many times. Then he stopped paying his half of the rent. Megan, the woman who used to post relationship goals selfies with him every weekend, suddenly found herself covering bills solo. That shiny little life they built on the back of betrayal? Crumbled like a cheap cookie. And suddenly they were having issues. Funny how that works. From what I heard through a mutual friend, Josh started drinking heavier. Got mean. Said things to Megan like, you're not worth all this stress. Started crashing at a buddy's place a few nights a week, which everyone knew was code for cheating, just like they did to me. I heard Megan moved back in with Diane sometime in September. No big announcement, no dramatic exit. She just quietly packed her stuff and went back to the same house that kicked me out 5 months earlier. Meanwhile, I was doing better than I had in years. I'd started dating a woman named Kara. We met at the gym of all places. She was nothing like Megan, no games, no drama, no walking on eggshells. Just easy conversation, real laughs, and the steady calm that made me feel like I could breathe again. My friends noticed first. Dude, you look 10 years younger, one of the guys at work said. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, my sister-in-law texted after meeting Kara. Even my mom, who'd stayed out of everything, smiled when I brought Kara over for dinner and said, you dodged a bullet. That felt good. Better than revenge, even. One night, Kara and I were out at this little bar in town, just playing pool, having drinks, and I felt eyes on me. I turned around and there she was. Megan. Sitting in the corner, alone. Hair tied back, no makeup, sipping a drink and staring at us like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. I kept my arm around Kara. Made sure Megan saw it when we laughed. When Kara kissed my cheek. When we left hand in hand. The next morning I got a text. From Megan. Hope you're happy now. No apology. No, I'm sorry for what I did. Just a sad little jab, like maybe she thought that would make me feel something. But I didn't. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel anything at all. And that was the moment I knew for sure I was finally free. Let her deal with her mess. Let them all spin their webs of excuses and self-pity. Me? I was out. I had a new life, a new love, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like someone else's afterthought. And as for Megan? Last I heard, she and Josh officially broke up. She's living with Diane again, probably sleeping in her old room, wondering how everything fell apart so fast. I didn't reply to her text. Didn't need to, because sometimes, silence is the loudest no you'll ever give. I met Kara at the gym on a Tuesday afternoon. I was mid-set on the leg press when she walked by, AirPods in, no makeup, messy ponytail, laser-focused. Not the kind of woman you hit on mid-workout. But something about her, her confidence, her calm, stood out. I didn't say anything that day. Didn't even try to be clever. Just smiled when our eyes met. A week later, we bumped into each other at the smoothie bar. She smiled first. I've seen you here a lot, she said, voice soft but direct. Yeah, I replied, wiping sweat off my forehead. I guess we're both creatures of habit. Her name was Kara. She worked in physical therapy, specialized in rehabbing athletes and old guys with busted knees. Down to earth, easy to talk to, nothing fake about her. The first time we got coffee, she asked what I did for fun. I told her about fishing, weekend road trips, the joy of silence after a long week. She didn't laugh or roll her eyes. She said, that sounds perfect. And just like that, I was hooked. We took things slow. I told her everything eventually, the whole Megan and Josh saga. She listened without judgment, just nodded, and at the end said, "You didn't deserve any of that. I'm glad you're out of it." No drama, no pity, just simple, steady support. And God, it was refreshing. A few months into dating, my friends started noticing the difference. Even the guys who'd kept quiet through all the chaos came out of the woodwork. "You're not dragging around that storm cloud anymore," one of them said. "It's like you woke up." I had big time. Even my family, who had been pretty hands-off throughout the divorce, started coming around more. My mom invited Kara over for dinner twice in the same month. My sister told me I finally looked happy again. But the best moment, the real turning point, came one Friday night. Kara and I were at this dive bar near the edge of town. Live music, cold beer, the kind of place where no one gave a damn what you were wearing. We were sitting at a corner table when I saw Megan walk in. She wasn't with Josh. Not with anyone, actually. Just standing near the bar, scanning the room. And then she saw us. Her eyes locked on mine, then dropped to Kara's hand resting on my knee, then back up again. She didn't look angry. She didn't even look smug. Just hollow, like someone who had made all the wrong bets and was finally out of chips. We didn't say a word to her. Kara leaned in and said something funny about the band's drummer, and I laughed louder than I needed to. Then I kissed her, right there in front of Megan, and made damn sure she saw it. On the way out, I caught one last look from Megan. Her face said it all. She hadn't expected this. She thought I'd stay broken. Thought I'd be alone, bitter, holding a torch for someone who blew out the flame herself. Too bad. The next morning, my phone buzzed. "Megan, hope you're happy now." That was it. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I regret what I did." Just those 4 words. I stared at the message for a second, then locked my phone and tossed it on the counter. I didn't need to respond. I already had everything I needed. Later that week, a mutual friend stopped by the shop. We got to talking about old times, and eventually he said, "You know, Megan still asks about you sometimes. Wonders how you're doing." I shrugged. She could have had that answer. "Yeah," he said. "She knows." But I didn't care. Not even a little. My life was finally mine again. No more lies. No more half-baked apologies or fake loyalty. Just clean breaks and new beginnings. Kara and I started planning a weekend trip up to the mountains. Nothing fancy. Just us, a cabin, and a cooler full of cheap beer. No drama. No ghosts. As we pulled out of the driveway that Saturday morning, she reached over and laced her fingers through mine. I looked at her, smiled, and for the first time in over a year, I felt something I hadn't felt in forever. Peace. Not revenge. Not justice. Just peace. That was the moment I knew for sure I was finally free.